Hey everyone, welcome to part 10 of my Klondike and C++ tutorial. Today we're going to be doing our main functions and our input to interpret input from the user in the command line. So I want to start off by saying I already added two files to our project, which is our init.h and our io.h. And this is just to kind of split up the functions that we're going to be handling. So I'm going to start off with some code again that I've already written down in my notes, and it's going to be in our init.h. So I have some boilerplate code here. I'm just going to copy and paste it in and explain what it does. So in our main function, we have this thing that is randomly setting our seed, and we could just leave it here, but I feel like it's better to have a separate file with all the stuff we're going to initiate, which is really only one thing for the purpose of this program. But it's just kind of more clear that this is something that's only going to be ran once at the lifetime of the program, and that's just going to be how it is. So I have this program here, and it's just, again, randomly setting our seed for when we're doing random.shuffle, and it's just using the seed time, the system time to kind of set that. So using a time-based seed is just better because every time you run the program, it's going to have a pseudo-random seed. And then next, over in our io.h, I'm going to have this code, which is basically to split a input string into different tokens. So a token is kind of like when you have the string where there's different words separated by spaces, we can kind of split each chunk into its own. So for example, in the command line, if I typed hello and then space world, the two tokens would be hello and world. And actually, I forgot to pull up my command line, so let me do that right now. And cd, I think I need the cgk. And for example, if I had hello and world, I would have two tokens. One would be hello and the other would be world. So this is kind of to split it, and it's very simple. Kind of what it takes is this takes a vector of strings, well, the output is a vector of string, and this is a command or a function. So it takes in a string, a pointer to the string, which is the command. It makes it into a string stream. And then it takes an intermediate and it kind of splits this string stream into these tokens. So using the getLine function, it splits it into tokens, and then it has this vector of strings named token, and it just returns it. And this is going to be really useful for our main function when we're parsing an input, which we're not going to handle in this episode, but in actually the next episode. This episode, I want to just get the main commands done. So over here, we have a kind of rework of our includes. So what we need for our main function is our types, our game state, our moves, our init, and our io.h. We're also going to include the io stream and the map, and you'll quickly see why we're including these two, because I'm going to use a pretty special and unique way to kind of process our input. And it's not necessarily the best way, but for me, I feel like it's really clear what's going on. So we have this enumeration and this map. So the enumeration kind of just enumerates through these through commands. So it says unrecognized command is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've already gone over enumeration. It's pretty clear what it does. And we have this map. So basically a map is, we can basically map any sort of type to another type. So basically in this scenario, we're mapping the string input to the new gain value. So a string to a command, which is just an integer. So we're mapping a string to an integer. So basically when we do, for example, map underscore commands, and we have this kind of string of like new game here, this value is just simply going to be new game. Because we have this string. That's kind of just how it works. So over here is just a quick map, and the reason why we're doing this is what you'll quickly see in our main function, which I'm just gonna copy over and explain it part by part, is we're gonna actually parse this input by each token, or actually by the whole string by itself at first, and we're gonna use a switch command, which I think is a bit uncommon. But a switch command is basically when you have a integer input, you can switch to different cases, and it's slightly more efficient compared to just an if statement. So I have just this boilerplate code, which is pretty simple to see. I'm just going to change this to cgk tutorial, and basically we start off by creating our game state, which we're going to be using for the entire program of this tutorial, and this boolean function of game started, which equals to false. So the reason why we have this game started is to prevent us from, when we're actually running the program and we try to print out the game state, or we try to make a move or somewhat, and the game is not actually initiated, so you cannot make that move. So we're just checking if the game has actually been started, and if not, then we cannot make that move. And then here is, and I can make a separate function for this, but I've decided just to make a while loop. This is going to be our game state loop. So this is going to loop through while then the game is running. So we're going to start off by getting the input string, and then we're going to make sure that there's actually input in this string using our getLine function in our cin. And then if not, we're going to break the loop. We're going to make sure there's actually input available. If there's not, we're going to continue. So we're going to basically wait until there's actually input, and then we're going to split the input string into tokens. And then here's our main switch statement. So we're going to do map commands tokens at 0. So the first token, so the first input that you do, we're going to be doing a switch with that. So basically, let's say it's help, or let's say it's move, then we're going to find the corresponding string to that, and then we're going to have this input, which is 2, and then we're going to, like, for example, if it's quit, then we just do quit, and we're just going to return 0. If it's help, then we're just going to do help, and help is a value of 3, and so on. Now we have these functions that we haven't written yet, so I'm just going to comment it out. So we're going to parse help with our tokens, or we can, if the game is started, when we're doing a display screen, then we can just print the game state. If not, then there's no game available. If it's a new game, then we're going to set this game state to our start game. Let me make sure this is actually correct. So this is not. So actually we need to do this since I set it slightly differently. If not, we can just do our start game with a pointer to our game state function. And then game started will equal to true, and we'll break. And it's very crucial that you have a break after every case statement. Otherwise, it's just going to go on to the next one. So break kind of exits this entire switch statement. If it's a move command, we're going to parse our move. Let's comment that out for now. And then if it's a search command, we'll parse our search, and so on. So let's quickly run this and see how it looks. So we just make, and quick, there's already some errors here. So in our this is in our io.h, so we don't have our ss string. I believe I just forgot to include it. Interesting. Just quickly take a look at my notes. Did I miss something here? That is quite interesting. I think the actual issue is I did not include my IO string here. So let's try it again. Nope, that was not the issue. Okay. So I've taken a quick look, and the issue is I just have an extra S here. So let me just remove that real quick. And let's try to compile again. And we can see we have no errors. So let's actually run the program, because this should be fully working now. So we can type out help. It's going to parse our help. And then let's type out display. So there's no game available. We can just do new game and display again. And as you can see, everything works perfectly fine. We can do our, let's see, what else do we have here that we can test out? We can test out our search. So search is just going to search. If we do like some unrecognized command, it will say unknown command. If we do quit, it will quit. So everything's working as expected. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment below. In our next video, we're going to actually finish up and define all our parse functions, except our search command, because our search is going to be for another separate video. So by the next game, our goal is to be able to parse our moves, be able to print out our help command, our parse help, and just have the whole game actually working. And then after that video, we're then going to start on our search command, and then we're going to actually be completely done with this tutorial. So we're already really close to being finished. And I hope you guys can stick along for just a bit longer, and I'll see you guys in the next part.